All right. Well, today's episode is about Adam Schiff. Okay, aka Shifty Adam. Shifty Shift. So I watched his press conference that he did earlier about the people that didn't want to show up to the hearing. I know they were subpoenaed, but they chose not to show up. And they had already told them that they weren't going to show up until they get the inquiry or the impeachment voted for. But all they did vote for in this last thing was for the rules, which would allow the the Republicans to sit in to into the hearings. But that just showed that they were already messing up from the start. I mean, reality, if they didn't think they were doing anything wrong, then they would have kept doing it the way they were doing it before. So what they did is they did this vote, which was just a show. They did this vote saying that, they were talking about these rules and how they were going to give Adam Schiff, full control over the rules and how things are going to play out. But to be honest, the entire thing is a waste of time for everyone. But he should recuse himself. He's obviously has bias that stretches beyond anyone else's. So his role should be taken away completely regardless. I wouldn't want him to be the front man for the whole thing if I was the Democrats, because he's obviously going to taint whatever the views are of the people who are watching. Okay, so he says that by the guys not showing up, that just furthers the whole thing about how they're not participating in the whole process. And it makes Donald Trump look more guilty. But they've already told them they weren't going to do this unless you do it right. So what they're going to do now is the people who didn't show up, they're going to fight against it. They're going to take it to court to try to reverse the subpoena. But I mean, how can you take them serious especially when it's all one-sided? And then he's still complaining about the whole releasing of the funds. As far as I know, there was no deadline. Okay, there was no deadline for when the funds were supposed to be released. Okay, I see that Republicans and Democrats signed off on sending Ukraine that money, but one, there was no deadline. Two, the president still has the right to deny or veto the whole thing about sending them the money in the first place. If he decided to, he could have said, you know what, I'm not sending it. I veto it. Y'all can fight with me all y'all want. I'm not sending them no money. And then so it's just, I just think that he should really step back from this. Because to be honest, I think that he's just the fall guy. I think he's the fall guy for when everything blows up, because right now he's the face of the whole thing, because a lot of the Democrat supporters see him being more aggressive towards Donald Trump because he's already shown that he dislikes him and that he's going to do whatever it takes to get him out of office. But at the same time, they gave sole control to him because they know it's not going to go that far, and the Democrats are going to blame him for it failing if he can't get him impeached in the Senate, because they're going to impeach Donald Trump in the House. They're going to do it. They have the votes. You've seen it when they did the vote for the rules. They outnumbered. even if every Republican voted against it, and the one independent that we have in office, and the 2 Democrats that went ahead and said no, they still have all the votes. And then obviously it's going to go to the Senate, and then they'll have a trial then, and then obviously they're going to show how it's just a waste of time. But the taxpayers are paying for the time that they're wasting on this stuff. He was kind of dodging some of the questions that they were asking him in the interview. Whenever he sit there and I want to say whenever he wants to lie about something, he closes his eyes, takes a long pause, because really what I think he's doing is he's trying to think of his lie before he says it, and I don't think he's trying to hold his tongue. But he said that he's going to release some of the transcripts of the what happened in those last hearings, okay? But obviously they're going to take some stuff out because of information or whatnot, whatever's in secrecy, even though he said none of it was classified. But he's still going to take a few things out. Then, as he was saying that he's going to release these items, the very next thing he does is he starts to spin the narrative. He starts to try to tell you what's going to be in these documents and what to look out for and how to react. And really what it is so that he can get them to, or get some of the people who don't really follow it, who do support the Democrats, to have their talking points of what's going to be in those documents so that they don't have to read them. But also gives the news people their spin as well. Because on the news, they're all going to say the exact same thing. Because that's one thing about what these Democrats say. When one Democrat says something, they're all going to follow suit. And I was just looking at that, and then also I wish you would stop calling them brave. The people who stepped out against Donald Trump, because they're not brave. What did they do that was so scary that would classify them as brave? Because I don't think they're brave at all. And to be honest, what they're doing is almost on the border lines of treason. And if you didn't like Donald Trump when he first got in the office, you had 3 years ago to get out. Okay, you didn't have to stay there when the administration changed if you didn't want to be a part of it. But since y'all all knew what y'all were going to plan on doing before he got in the office with getting him impeached, y'all tried to get as close to him as possible. And I think that Donald Trump might have even set this whole thing up in the first place. When they were saying that the whistleblower had third and fourth hand knowledge of what was going on, and this is what kicked everything off. What if Donald Trump told them what he had, what kind of conversation he had to bring out the whistleblowers and bring out the leakers that were close to him? Maybe he already knew who they were, but he needed proof. So he might have let out that information on the jump, and he probably put all that stuff, all the phone call, in that secret server that's only for high-ranking people and himself and stuff like that, because he wanted to make sure that the people that was close to him that he was giving this information to could not go back and double check before releasing the information. So then the very first thing they do is when they hear this, they go, "Oh man, we got him now. We got him. He can't beat this." And then they go to Schiff and tell them what they hear. Schiff writes up the complaint for them, or tells them how to write up the complaint with the lawyers and everything, and then has them file it. And then afterwards, what he does is he goes out there and they make it public. And when he put that spin on Donald Trump's thing, and he had got the documents from the phone call prior to reading that document or saying what was in it, but he still wanted to put a spin on it. because it sounded really bad, right? It sounded really bad whenever he was reading about that. Hey, this is what was going on, but nobody believed it. Nobody believed Donald Trump was all like, "I'm gonna tell you 3 or 4 times this and this and that." Nobody believes that crap. Nobody talks like that. But yeah, so I think the whole thing was a setup from the jump, where it was just supposed to draw them out. And then another thing is that if you draw everyone out and you draw all the leakers out and the so-called whistleblowers out, then you start talking about impeachment. Then you got to vote for what he was requiring them to, or wanting them to do, was vote on the impeachment, because then it also shows the voters who's really against him in a way where they won't work with him, and who's willing to vote against him, so that when the next year comes and everyone hits the polls, they'll know who not to vote back in. Because to be honest, I think a lot of these blue states or these blue areas are going to go red, and they might go red for a while, especially if things continue to grow as the Republican Party runs it now. It has been relatively the same for all these years, but what switched it up is that Donald Trump was such a changing factor in all of it that no one knew what to do with him, and I think he's going to change it for years to come, even after he's gone. But with Adam Schiff, I mean, you can see it when he talks to the people. He's not sure of himself. He knows what the agenda is, so he's going to stay on topic. But he's not sure. And you can see how more unsure he is when he's not around Pelosi, and when he's not around, what's that other guy's name? Chuck Schumer and Nadler and them. When he's not around them, you can see that that he's kind of just going whatever they told him he was supposed to do. But if he's successful, he's going to be great for the Democratic Party. But if he fails, he's just another fall guy. How many of these Democrats so far have already shown their cards? Okay, Donald Trump is picking these people apart. And then not only is he showing the Democrats cards, he's showing the Republican cards too. People who are in the Republican Party that are still siding with the Democrats, because even though they're on separate parties, they're still benefiting off of some of the same perks that the Democrats are benefiting off of. But I just wanted to do a quick video about Adam Schiff, because he's got a lot of stuff going on with him. I think obviously this isn't going anywhere. And the fact that now he gets to control everything, he gets to tell the president who he can and cannot bring into question. He could tell if his attorneys can be there or not, and what witnesses that are allowed to be there. And so if a Republican says, "I want this witness here," they can't have him there. But to be honest, I think that's what it was. I think what it was is that it was to draw them out, get them all riled up, and get them making mistakes. But the best part about it all is that since everyone's so anti-Trump, they can't wait to get in front of the cameras and speak their mind. And when they go in front of those cameras and they speak their mind, they're then putting themselves on the record on where they stand. Okay? He's trying to pull out all the people who are in the middle. Okay? Because he feels that either you're with him or you're against him. And so he wants everyone to see who's all against him. But yeah, Adam Schiff, he's an iffy guy. But I just wanted to do a quick video, and before I end, I just wanted to say something real quick about Beto. I'm glad he's out of the race. He's so retarded. Just a little fun fact is that the very first time I voted was to vote against him. I voted for Ted Cruz over Beto. It was the very first time I voted too. When I very first seen his commercial and his mouth herpes and whatnot he had in his commercial, I was like, nah, I can't vote for him. He was a weird looking dude. He looked like he was a pedophile. He looked like 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 if he was walking around the neighborhood, you might want to put your kids inside because he didn't look like he was up to any good. But he's a weird looking dude. For some reason, I just never really liked him. And then as he ran for president, I got to see more and more why I didn't like him. There was something about him, and I didn't know that much about him. I didn't even know who he was. But all I knew is I didn't want him to win Texas. And so I voted for Ted Cruz to take over Texas over Beto. And that was my first time voting. And what I'm going to do is try to see how many more people I can support that actually that's going to make everything great around my community and stuff like that. But I was just want to do a quick note on Beto because he's not worth the time. And I'm just glad he's out of the race. That's just a little less money that the Democrats can't take now. And that's all that they were doing is they put all these people in this race for the presidency so that they can grab as much money as they possibly can. They knew that they weren't going to win. So that's what they're doing right now, because every Democrat person who's running pays a percentage into the Democratic Party for the money that they gain. And the other percentage is used for their running for the presidency. So that's why they run out of money, even though they got people donating crazy amounts of money, because a small percentage still goes to the Democratic Party. And they use that to lobby and to keep power over certain areas and stuff like that. So that's just another one out the race, and I'm glad we already got the one from New York out, and we got the one from here in Texas out, which he don't even have to come back to Texas. We don't want him here. But I just wanted to make a quick note on Beto, and I hope y'all have a good day. And I'm out of here, man. I'm gonna go ahead and go home. Well, after I go to Academy, because I gotta go to Academy real quick. But I hope y'all have a nice day and enjoy the rest of your day, because I know it's pretty late in the day. All right, bye.